is From Stage Fright to Spotlight. From stage fright to spotlight. That is our comprehensive public speaking segment of the show. It's designed to help you master this crucial skill. Whether you're speaking to a large audience or just in front of a small group, this segment of the show will give you the tools you need to shed the stage fright and step confidently into the spotlight. In tonight's segment, I have a special guest, my fellow Toastmaster, George Manoogian. He will be joining us, but before he does, I want to explain what Toastmasters is. Toastmasters International is a nonprofit educational organization that teaches public speaking and leadership skills through a worldwide network of clubs. I belong to the Spirited Speakers Club out of Middleboro, Massachusetts. We meet virtually on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month. Curious about checking out a virtual meeting? Just comment Spirited in the comments and I'll send you the link. Our next few meetings will be at different times because of the holiday season. The next meeting will be this Wednesday, December 4th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss out. Comment Spirited and I'll send you the meeting link. No pressure. Just sit back and enjoy the experience. We'll give you a warm welcome, but you're not required to participate. You're free to stay in the background. Hope to see you there. And that is about Toastmasters International. Okay. Please stand by. George and I actually pre-recorded our segment on Friday. Okay, and here it is.
Very good. Thank you.
Great. So could you please introduce yourself and let the audience know who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Thank you, Jason. My name is George Manoogian, and I'm a Toastmaster. I've been in Toastmasters, 41 years.
Wow.
Why would anybody stay in it for 41 years? It's interesting to watch other people grow and help them, and for me to help them with their speaking skills. I belong to a couple of groups, Spirited Speakers in Middleboro and Tri-County Talkers in Stoughton. And every time that I go in there, it's so nice to see people change when they get up there to do their first speech and their second speech, and they get better and better and better. And the other thing that is part of Toastmasters is the leadership skills, where we have 7 officer positions. And it helps them with their leadership roles. Many people, like myself, when I first joined Toastmasters, I wanted to be a leader. I had no idea how. I had no idea what I was doing. And Toastmasters helped me out greatly. They had officer training, told me how to be a treasurer, a secretary, a sergeant at arms, a president, and all the different roles. But I enjoy Toastmasters. It's really changed my life. It's changed my attitude, especially when you're trying to teach beginners when they want to get up there and speak. They're nervous. Everybody's nervous. Even professionals are nervous. All professionals are nervous before they're backstage. Sometimes they have a shot or two to calm their nerves down before they get up on stage. Especially Dean Martin, he had more than a shot or two.
Dean Martin, I don't know if a lot of the audience knows who that is.
Yeah,
yeah. You're giving away your age, George.
Yeah, slightly. But many times people say, "Oh, speaking before a group, I'd rather die than do that." Well, when you're dead, it only happens once, and you're gone. But if you get up there and speak with a group, and you mess up, you have a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance, and so forth. And it's really an interesting organization where everybody's there to help everybody else. Not like some of the other groups that I belong to, it's about competition. Well, I'm better than you, or you're better than me, and there's too much fighting back and forth. We got enough of that crap in politics in this country. But sit back and relax. Go to a Toastmasters meeting, see what it's like. Just go to Toastmasters, that's with an S, toastmasters.org, and up in the right-hand corner it says find a club, and find a club near you and visit 2, 3, 5, 10 times. They'll ask you, when do you want to join? If you want to join, it's up to you. Do you want to better yourself? Do you want to feel better about yourself? And for whatever reason, Jason, I've noticed more and more I've been reading in the newspapers and on television, the news, that since COVID, people have mental issues. Where did that happen? How did that happen all of a sudden? Everybody's got mental issues just because of the COVID. Well, it's like I got a cold and now I'm stupid. No,
Maybe it's in the vaccine. I don't know.
that's baloney. Anyway, that's my opinion. But you go to a Toastmasters meeting and you find out who you really are, and they will help you be better than you are now, and to be what you want to be or what you'd like to be. Within reason. Within reason.
In a lot of different ways, definitely a lot of different ways. And even if you get in trouble too, and we'll talk about that tonight as well. But before we do get to that, one of the things that George and I wanted to explain to the audience, or I'm going to go ahead and explain, and then George is going to give a demonstration to the audience about the Jokemaster role, because in each Toastmaster meeting, there's a variety of different roles. And if you guys have caught any of these episodes, you've seen we did table topics live, that table topics role. One time I talked about the listener role. Well, tonight I'm going to explain the Jokemaster role, and then George is going to go ahead and give us an example of it. So after pleasantries and the presidential and officers speak at the beginning, when we talk about business in the meeting, before we start the meat and potatoes of the meeting, we end up starting with a joke. Kind of like with this show, right? I actually end the show, like this evening, with a funny meme or video. You don't want to miss tonight's either. Anyhow, so tonight for this segment, I'm going to introduce George as the Jokemaster this evening. So George, go ahead and take it away.
Good, thank you. So many people, they say, I have a wonderful joke for you. It's the funniest one you've ever heard. Right then and there, you challenge the audience. The audience will sit there with their arms crossed and say, make me laugh. And they won't laugh. I don't care how funny the joke is. You didn't make me laugh. It wasn't the funniest joke I ever heard. So don't bother saying anything like that. Just go in there and tell your joke. If you have a title of the joke, that's wonderful. But don't try to say anything to your audience like, this is the best one you've ever had, or the best one I've ever had. Just go in and tell you. Now, I'm going to give you a short joke right now and give you an idea. Title of this joke is, I want to get married. An 8-year-old boy comes up to his father and says, Daddy, I finally found out what I want to do. I want to marry the girl across the street. I want to marry Nancy across the street. And the father chuckled a little bit. He says, well, marriage is a pretty serious endeavor. He said, yes, we did a lot of thinking about this. So after he quizzed the 8-year-old several times, and the kid gives some very good answers, very, very good answers, the father says, oh, what are you going to do about transportation? You need to go to the grocery store and get some groceries. The boy said, oh, we have our tricycles. Yes, we can go quite far on our tricycles. And if we get lonely, I can always come back here and sleep. And she can go back home to her house across the street and sleep if she gets lonely. So the father said to him, well, when you're married, there's a pretty good chance that you'll have some babies. Have you thought about that? The boy said, yes, Dad, we thought about that. And I have the answer. Whenever she lays an egg, I'm going to step on it. So when you're telling a joke, pause for a couple of seconds before you give the punchline. that builds up interest in the audience. Because there's a few people that are in your audience that are, yeah, so what? So the kid asks the question. And then when you stop talking, they go, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Why did you stop? And then you give the punchline slow enough so people can understand it. Because there's so many times that we've all heard jokes and somebody tells the punchline, they go right through it. Everybody goes, huh? What? What was that? What was that? You just lost your audience. You know, always pause. Tell a joke slow enough so people can get it. Don't forget, everybody's not as intelligent as you. You think you're up here, but there's many people that are down here, and you need to talk to that and the level in the middle. So my suggestion is give you joke a title, and before the punchline, shut up. Stop talking for 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds, and then give the punchline slow enough so people can understand it. That's my tip of the day.
That's an awesome tip. That is the power of the pause, the power of silence. There's power in that. When you're in front of a group, you don't want to be saying just pause and think and then
That's
speak
right.
again. No, that's awesome. That's a decent trick to do with these days. People on their phones, whatever. Just don't talk when you first come out, and then wait for. They're gonna look up, right?
Yeah,
They're gonna look up because wait a minute, there's silence. It's not supposed to be silence now. What happened? It's a good way to get people engaged right away too. So, and that's my tip, I guess, as well. So you got 2 tips for tonight. Awesome, and a great joke. Thanks for that, George. Speaking of the Toastmaster program, George gave a great intro about what it is and what it can do for you. And I had mentioned that even if you get in trouble, you can, get some Toastmasters help. What I meant by that is that there is a Toastmasters prison program. Okay. It's a unique initiative designed to help incarcerated individuals, okay, develop communication and leadership skills. And they have these inside clubs. Many prisons have dedicated Toastmaster clubs, and they operate very close to like what an outside club, how that operates, with maybe some bars or so. But these inside clubs, they're facilitated by volunteers who mentor and guide the inmates in public speaking and leadership development. And we're going to talk about some of that because George happens to be deeply involved and for quite a long time. I'll let him tell you in this inmate program. So, George, you want to tell us a little bit about the inside clubs and how you got involved in your
sure.
history with
Yes,
it?
thank you. Inmates can't start, this is in Massachusetts anyway. Inmates can't start programs. Volunteers can start programs. So when they built a new prison in one of the local towns, the inmates from other prisons that were already in Toastmasters transferred down to that new facility. And they said, hey, we want to start a Toastmasters club. And the staff said, you're going to have to find a volunteer. So they wrote to the higher ups in Toastmasters saying, we need somebody to come down here. Well, I live close by, and I was contacted and said, would you like to go down there and help out start a Toastmasters club in this prison? Well,
When was this, George? When was this?
this was in 1987.
Wow, in the 80s. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you.
January will be my 37th year doing this.
Wow.
I got a longer sentence than the guys did. So anyway, I went there, and these guys, they knew their stuff. They really knew their stuff. They said, all we need is somebody to be a volunteer. We can run the program ourselves, but we can't do it without you. So I went there so I think it was a Tuesday night at the time. They bounce things around. Every Tuesday night. And then after about 2 months, the staff said to me, don't come in for a couple of weeks. We want to see how they behave without you being there. Oh, okay. So I didn't go for a couple of weeks. And then when I went back the third week, I was called before I went in the third week, and they said they were fabulous. No problems at all. Nothing. But boy, you people clap a lot. You do a lot of applause. We ran down there the first night, thought there was something wrong, and everybody's there clapping away, clapping away.
Thought a prison
Oh,
riot's about to pop
okay,
off.
it's all right. And so now because of a lot of the issues that they've had in the prison system, uh, they have, if the volunteer isn't there, they can't meet. And that's one of the rules that they've come up with. It's all about control. But these guys run a great meeting. I used to volunteer at 5 prisons.
Wow, I didn't know realize there was so many not even close by that you could actually volunteer at. Wow.
So all that's left is just two, because they've closed several prisons and some clubs have gone belly up because of COVID. COVID shut everything down. We all know that.
Oh yeah.
But what it does for the guys, especially the ones that have mental issues, the transformation is remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable.
Give us an example. Give us an example.
You got one fellow, uh, when he came up there to give your first speech, is tell us a little bit about yourself. He couldn't look at the audience. He looked at the tile floor. He looked down at the floor the whole 6 minutes that he was talking, and he kept moving his feet left and right, left and right, left and right. And he talked for about his speech. His first speech was about 2 minutes. They asked you to speak for at least four, and he talked for about 2 minutes and says, "That's all," and he sat down. And he's gone through 5 or 6 speeches, and now he's making such a difference. He can look at the audience right in the eye, and look at different people in the audience, and tell a speech. Told us about a card game he invented in prison, to get their mind off of things.
Right.
Sometimes there's not much to do. And I told the staff, I had a meeting with staff one time on the phone, and I said, "Oh," and I mentioned this fellow's name. I says, "He's improved remarkably." And they said, "You're telling us he doesn't give us any trouble anymore? Nothing. He lets the officer talk first, and then you can see that he's thinking, and then he answers the officer politely and like a gentleman." He wasn't like that before he joined Toastmasters. He was a
Wow.
very angry person, very, very angry. And now he's completely different. "What are you people doing in there?" I said, "Well, it's your prison. Come in sometime.
Well,
Come here and visit for an hour and see what it's like." And
no,
I've
that
done that over the years when I've asked the director of treatment, "Come on in, sit down, listen to the men." And I did the ladies' prison too for 5 years. And you could see the difference. And it makes a difference because they need public speaking for, number one, talking with their families on the telephone. They are now can talk with them on the tablets. They got tablets now. Something new, something new, and they can talk with their families, actually see them. So the great benefit of that is they know they're on camera, and they have to watch their language, make sure there's nothing in the background, and this is all monitored. It's all monitored. So somebody can't say, "Don't forget the 5 pounds of marijuana you promised me."
right.
Don't
Yeah.
say that. And they need it for going for parole. And when they do get released, because 93% of the inmates do get released, when they go before a hostile employer saying, "Why should I hire you? You got a criminal record." I got 50 people out there that don't have a criminal record.
Yeah, George, I was going to ask you. So that's one of the things, part of the program, right? Skill development for reentry. The program actually prepares the inmates for reentry into society, and by equipping them with skills that can actually improve, like you were just saying, like their job prospects, talking to a prospective employer, even interpersonal relationships, coming from jail and getting out of jail. Like you said, the guy, was kind of like an animal, I guess you could say, or impolite, and then speaking with the CO, I guess you could say, right?
Yes.
Uh, he would stop, let them speak, and then you could see he's thinking. And he's replies like a gentleman, that sort of thing. And then self discipline too. It would take to do that. So yeah, the reentry program. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the DOC does have a reentry program, but uh, it's more like where to go after you get out of prison.
Right.
Because once they kick you in the butt and you're out the door, they say, see you later. Uh, I'll see you in 2 years when you come back. We'll see. We'll save. We'll keep the light on for you. That's their attitude. We'll keep the light on for you.
Yeah.
You know, and the inmates when they get out there, don't forget, some of these guys have been locked up for 30 years.
Wow, what a
Yeah,
change.
the fellow last week he thinks he's got pretty good chance of getting parole. We had our meeting on Friday, and he went before the parole board on Thursday. He says, I think things went very well. He's been in prison for 34 years.
Wow.
34 years.
I can
I said,
imagine.
that's enough. Get out of here. And I can't stress enough that a lot of people say, well, you're wasting your time talking with these deadbeats. Have you ever made a mistake? You
Right.
just didn't get caught. You just didn't get caught. And it's sad to say that many that are coming into prison now are coming in for some serious stuff, manslaughter, murder, very violent, very, very violent. I don't know why they're so darn violent. Before you get a lot of breaking entry, stealing cars and so forth. But now it's murder, murder one, murder two, and so forth. And
Angry. Wow. It's getting rough out there. Out
very
here.
sad, very sad.
Wow.
Very sad. So it'll help them, especially talking with their families, because many of these guys have children. And one fellow gave a very potent speech a few weeks ago. He says, when I first came in here, my child was this big, and now she's this big.
Wow.
And I've been here for 18 years. I think he was 18 years old or 19 years old now. He missed all that. You can't get that back. It
No.
never comes back. Once the child is grown up, and people that do have children, how fast they grow. You buy a new pair of shoes for them, and 2 weeks later, it's too tight. It don't fit. But the biggest issue that they have is in prison is such a negative place to be. It carries over with their mentality of being negative. So when they talk with somebody, it's negative. Toastmasters tries to tell them, think first before you speak and talk intelligently and let the other person say. That's why we have two ears and one mouth. Yeah, listen, listen, listen. That's what they're saying. What are they trying to tell you? And then respond. Think first and then respond.
Yeah, as opposed to react.
Makes a big difference.
Huge difference. No, that's awesome. Like that whole, statistic here, like inmates that join a Toastmasters club in prison actually have a 5 to 10% chance of being a reoffender, as opposed to the inmates that actually do they do participate. 50 to 75% are reoffenders.
It's called recidivism.
Yeah,
Recidivism. It's a big
there we
word.
go.
Big word.
We,
And
we
most
got to
in,
use that in word of the day. That's another role that.
oh yeah, recidivism.
That's an inside Toastmasters joke. But anyhow, sorry, George. Go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway,
Recidivism.
they found that the people that go through the Toastmasters program, they have between 2 and 5% of chance coming back to prison. With those that don't go to Toastmasters, right now, 44% come back to prison within 2 years of being released.
Wow.
So they can save a ton of money. The state can save a ton of money by having them not there. And number two, the best benefit is they're out of the system. They're out. They're working. They're with their families. They're living a productive life. And many of them, believe it or not, many of them say, when I get out, I want to pay back something to my community for the wrong that I've done. Now, if you've done something really, really bad, I don't know what you can do on the community side to change that attitude to help the community. A lot of them want to go to a Boys and Girls Club and say, don't do what I did.
I was gonna say, it starts with the elders, right? You gotta, instill the correct values in the kids, in the youth, or what have you. Then, change it like that, right to the root.
I've heard an awful lot, and many guys start selling drugs on the street for somebody else. And they say, "Here, I'll give you $5 if you deliver this. I'll give you $10 if you deliver that." And they start at 8, 10 years old. 8 or 10 years old. Yeah, you're a little kid that you send to school every morning. In the afternoon, he's out selling drugs. And by the time he's 16 years old, he's probably got $30,000 in the bank. And you don't, being a parent. And you don't.
Different lifestyle.
By the time he's 17, he gets arrested.
Right, and the money's gone. Or years. Shot if he, or what have you, yeah. Or harmed.
There are no old drug dealers. No.
You're gonna pay some way. Yeah,
that's
and
right.
The worst thing they could do is take away your time, because you can't get any of that back.
The very sad thing is, many of them quit school when they were 16 because school is stupid. They say school is stupid, and they realize now that they're in prison that I got to get a GED before I get out of here. Otherwise nobody's going to hire me.
Should have built some skills.
I went to prison when I was 17, and I get out when I'm 28, 30, 32, 35 years old. Well, what skills do I have? Nothing.
Yeah, I got to provide some sort of value to society. Yeah.
Yep. That's right. So I've always thought that believe that the prison system needs to teach more vocational skills, because they have trouble using this, but they can use their hands. Teach them a little bit about electricity, carpentry, painting,
right.
Any of the skills that really they can go get a job. Go to a union hall and say, "Hey, I'm just get out of prison. Help me. I need a job. Give me something to do. I'll do anything."
Yep, I can do this or this or this.
Yeah.
And those are skills that are needed. So.
But if you sit there for 34 years and doing nothing, like we just was just a case that was in the newspaper not too long ago. A man was in prison for I don't know how many years. Doesn't matter. But they asked him, "What have you done in all these years that you were in prison?" And he said, "Nothing." "What programs did you belong to?" "Nothing."
Wow.
Well, then you're not ready to get out.
For real.
He didn't do anything. But all those years, 18, 20 years, whatever it happens to be, so you're telling the parole board or a judge, whichever the case may be, I'm not really interested in myself. I'll just sit here and wait, and then you can let me out. When I get out, I'll be stupid.
No growth.
I come in stupid, I'll leave stupid. But those who go to programs makes a big difference.
Well, like I said, the good thing is that the skills that the Toastmaster prison programs instill in these inmates has obviously paid a hugely positive impact on them, and the statistics don't lie. So
it's in many states in this country.
Is it? Okay.
And then I think it's 4 times a year. We get on Zoom and we talk with prison volunteers from Australia, Taiwan, and Japan.
Wow.
And it's vastly different than us. Our prisons are considered, country clubs considered what they have over there.
I can imagine. I'm surprised that they even have something like that over there.
Yeah, in the Japanese prison, they are not allowed to give speeches. They have what they call table topics, which is 1 to 2 minute talks, And before the volunteer goes in there, he has to submit those questions to them, to the staff, before they go in there. And if there's anything written down about the prison system, they can get some pretty big trouble. Pretty big trouble.
Wow,
So they
keep it
have to
tight over
answer
there.
what's your favorite food or what's your favorite color or something of that nature, something very bland. And they're watching them. They're watching them. Where I am in the two facilities that I go to, officer comes by every now and then, looks in the window, makes sure everything's okay. And there's cameras in the room now too, so now they can do that from a different room. They can look in all the different classrooms and see what's going on. So they don't have to send some. So if this happens to be a fight or something like that, they can quell it pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. And by the way, I've been doing this for, as I say, January will be my 37th year.
87?
37.
Since 1987.
Yeah, I said 87. Yeah, my volunteership started in January of 88.
Wow.
And I've seen one fight
Out of that whole time.
out of that whole
And,
time.
and you're in 5 prisons now, right?
Yeah, I was in
Or
five.
at one time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
now I'm
One
in two
fight.
prisons. Yeah,
You'd think
and
there'd be more.
I saw one fight when I was in Cedar Junction, and that was, I don't know, the guy was about 4'9". I think he was from Guatemala, and he went after a guy that must have been a football player because he was
Wow.
350, 375. The guy was a wall. He was a wall. He was so,
Right.
and the little one went after the big one.
David and Goliath.
Like a Volkswagen trying to attack a school bus, you know, and all because all hell broke loose, and just like you see on TV. After I pushed the emergency button, they had an emergency button in there because this was a maximum security prison. And the guys was screaming, push the button, push the button. I said, oh yeah, that's the new button. So I hit the red button. And these guys come down with shields and face masks and everything. They
Wow.
come out of the woodwork. I don't know where the hell they come from. They got me out of the room, put me in another room, locked me in there, said, you stay here, because they're protecting me.
Right.
They went in there, and they both of the individuals were individually interviewed, and then they interviewed me. So what happened? I said, the little one after the big one. I'm trying to commit suicide or what? I don't know. But so they says both those guys are out of the program.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
One fight that whole time.
Yeah. But it's a very rewarding experience. Very rewarding to go in there and help those who can't help themselves. Really.
Well, and George, thanks for your service and doing that for all these years too. And how can somebody get involved in it?
Well, if you find out where there's a Toastmasters club within a prison, contact any of the prison officials and say, I'd like to volunteer, or at least I'd like to visit. And you have to go in with a volunteer. You can't go in by yourself.
Right, of course.
Twice a year without going through volunteer training. The volunteer training is about 2 hours, 3 hours. They tell you the safety issues for that prison. Each facility is different. They're different configurations. They have a different population, and you just go in there and they'll train you. And I'll tell you, it's you walk out of there smiling and say, I did something good today.
No,
and
that's
you help
awesome.
them with their Toastmasters group. You help them with this is how to do table topics. This is how to research a speech. This is how to evaluate. And you help them out. Because if they don't know, you'll be teaching them.
And of course, you can go in with a mentor first and experience it.
Yes.
What have you a few times. And then if that's something that you'd like to, go ahead and get involved in, then these are the next steps. Like you said, each prison has their own protocol. They have their own training and whatnot. Okay. Right. Awesome. No, that's great. So if anybody has an interest or any more questions about it, you can contact myself, and you should know how to get a hold of me. I mean, you can just comment on this video. But George, how can people get a hold of you?
By the neck. You can drive me by that. You can do that.
Well, if you'd like to get a hold
That'll
of
get him
George,
in
you can.
prison.
Yeah, that'll get you into the prison club. If you really want to be in a prison club, we can make that
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. I'll give you my email address.
Awesome.
It's my name. You can see my name is George, and the last name is Manoogian. Manoogian. It's all one word. George Manoogian at yahoo.com. And just mention that you were on Jason's show in the subject line, so I don't think you're uh, trying to sell me something, a bill of goods. So it's George Manoogian at yahoo.com. I mean, I get 15, 20 emails a day.
How's that, George? Did that come out right? Did I spell everything right?
That is correct. Manoogian at yahoo.com. Hey, you're good. You're cool. You're
Awesome. Good, good.
good.
Come on, man. You're a fellow Toastmaster. Well, if how could I spell stuff wrong? That's not right.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
So if you guys are interested in the prison program or even Toastmasters in general, because again, I mean, George has been in Toastmasters like forever. I was in grade school, okay? I still didn't get to junior high and have to stand up in front of the class and present, and get those butterflies.
I joined Toastmasters in June of 1983.
Wow. See,
Wow.
I was in, I think, second grade or third grade or something back then. Yeah.
You were
So
still you were still kicking people in the shins.
exactly. So there's George's email. You guys want to have any questions about the prison program, Toastmasters in general? Hey, you know what? George has a lot of life experience. So if you just want to, life experience, George is the man. No, I appreciate you, George. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you have anything else to add for this evening at all? I'm pretty much out.
Yeah, that just about does it. Go to toastmasters.org and up in the right hand corner it says find a club and click on it and it'll ask you your zip code and you'll list a bunch of clubs in the area.
Right. And then the shortcut, just comment on this video. How do I find Toastmaster? It doesn't matter. I'll get you the info that you need. And again, George is a member of many clubs. So feel free to contact him and get into one of his other clubs and visit if you like too is fine. The virtual ones, I guess, for people that aren't in the area, but people that are in the area. George, what clubs are those, by the way, just out of curiosity?
I belong to one in Stoughton, Massachusetts, and one in Middleboro.
Okay,
The
perfect.
Middleboro one is virtual, and the one in Stoughton is physical. We meet in the Stoughton Library.
Awesome. So again, George is also a member of another club, but we both belong to Spirited Speakers. That's that club out of Middleboro, Massachusetts. And again, like George said, we do meet virtually. So if you are out of the area and you wanted to experience a Toastmaster club, you can visit our club and even join our club if you wanted to, or we can direct you to a club near you. Either way. But we usually meet on the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month. So if you're curious about checking out a virtual meeting, just comment Spirited in the comments. I'll send you the link. But our next few meetings are a little bit different times because of the holidays. So the next meeting will actually be this Wednesday, December 4th at 7 p.m. From 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't miss out. Comment Spirited, and I will send you the meeting link. No pressure. Like I always say, you just sit back and enjoy the experience. Take it all in. We'll give you a warm welcome, but you're not required to participate. You're free to stay in the background. We'll give you a warm welcome. Hope to see you there. George, thanks for being part of the show this evening. I do look forward to having you back on again in the future.